Psycho Sid powerbombed a fellow wrestler's kid, while Randy Orton went straight for Triple H's entire family. But guess who showed up at Randy Orton's home with a sledgehammer after that? And if you think that's crazy, then you'd be surprised to find out what Hulk Hogan did to Ric Flair's son. WWE is all about those epic moments that stick with us, but sometimes the drama spills out of the ring and right into the wrestlers' living rooms. Today, we're diving into the wild times when on-screen enemies took their beef off the mat and straight to the wrestlers' homes, causing all sorts of chaos for them and their families. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. Bobby Lashley attacks Goldberg's son Gage. For our first, we've selected WWE Champion Bobby Lashley. At SummerSlam 2021, Lashley went toe-to-toe with wrestling legend Goldberg. And forget fancy moves, this was less about technique and more about two titans smashing into each other like a couple of runaway freight trains. When the bell rang, they jumped right into action. Two strong dudes took over the ring, with the upper hand constantly switching between them. Lashley was a bit stunned by the other guy's physical power. Goldberg was determined to take control of the match, but Lashley wasn't backing down. He saw his chance, slammed Goldberg face first into the mat, and went after his neck. But before Goldberg could go after Lashley again, MVP yanked Lashley out of the ring. Goldberg wasn't having any of it. He left the ring, grabbed Lashley, and dragged him back. Just as Goldberg was about to take down Lashley, MVP hit his knee with a stick. Thanks to MVP's attack on Goldberg's leg, the WWE Hall of Famer's knee gave out, making the referee stop the match. Bobby Lashley was declared the winner and kept his WWE title. But then, out of nowhere, he attacked Goldberg's son, Gage. Apparently, Gage had entered the ring to stop Lashley, but he was met with Lashley's wrath on stage. As Lashley choked him out, MVP tried to interfere by taking the mic and explaining that the almighty Lashley didn't know it was Goldberg's son. Then, he handed Lashley the title, and they left the ring together. Goldberg crawled over to his son and swore to get revenge on Lashley as Lashley walked away from the ring. He has always been clear about why he came back to WWE in 2016. It was so his son Gage could see him as a superhero. He's mentioned Gage in many of his promos, showing just how close they are. However, Bobby Lashley went on to attack Gage, setting the stage for a future rematch with Goldberg. Goldberg's WWE contract allows for 2 matches per year, and he's slated to return to Raw for a showdown with Bobby Lashley at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. He even posted a tweet saying, "I'm not coming for the WWE Championship. I'm coming for Bobby Lashley's soul, and I will rip it straight from his chest." Brock Lesnar attacks future WWE star Dominic Mysterio. Before the build-up to the WWE title match at Survivor Series 2019 between Brock Lesnar and Rey Mysterio, WWE set the stage for their clash. At the end of September 2019, on the season premiere of Monday Night Raw, Rey Mysterio had a showdown with Brock Lesnar. Just 2 weeks earlier, Brock Lesnar had appeared on SmackDown to challenge the then WWE champion, Kofi Kingston, during the SmackDown on Fox premiere. Brock Lesnar didn't waste any time making an impact on Raw's season premiere. He brutally attacked Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic right after the legendary luchador dedicated his upcoming Universal title match to Dominic, who was sitting in the front row. The Beast attacked so quickly that Mysterio didn't have time to react. Lesnar hit him with 2 F5s just seconds after Mysterio grabbed the mic from Paul Heyman in defiance. Mysterio paid for his bold move, but Dominic suffered the most from the attack. Lesnar yanked the young man out of his seat, tossed him around the ringside area, and suplexed him across the ring. Mysterio's attempts to protect his son and Paul Heyman's pleas couldn't stop Lesnar. He kept attacking in a trance-like state, even shoving WWE officials who tried to intervene. The WWE Universe didn't hide their disapproval as Lesnar took his victory lap. The Beast appeared to be feeling a mix of strange emotions as he paced around the ring. This definitely spells trouble for Kofi Kingston, who has to defend his WWE Championship against Lesnar on Friday Night SmackDown. It was a terrifying preview of what the beloved champion might face. If this was Lesnar's last time on Raw, it was definitely a powerful reminder of why he's so feared and unique. David Flair gets an NWO whipping. The NWO was infamous for using their strength in numbers and surprise tactics to gain an advantage. This strategy often gave them the upper hand against the good guys of WCW. They would ambush their opponents out of nowhere and overwhelm them with their numbers. One of the most unforgettable examples of this was during their feud with Ric Flair. The NWO's sneaky attacks and superior numbers constantly put Flair at a disadvantage, making this feud a standout moment in their notorious run. At WCW Sold Out 1999, David Flair and his Flair's father, Ric Flair, teamed up to take on Curt Hennig, also known as Mr. Perfect in WWE, and Barry Windham. Despite Ric and David Flair winning the match, the NWO ambushed them afterward, along with their ally, Arn Anderson. The NWO handcuffed Ric Flair to the ropes, forcing him to watch helplessly as Hulk Hogan repeatedly whipped his son, David Flair. What's interesting about this story is that Ric Flair later revealed he would never forgive Hulk Hogan for going too far. Hogan whipped David Flair many more times than planned, taking liberties during the attack. Both Ric and David Flair have openly admitted that WWE legend Hulk Hogan was only supposed to hit David a few times, not 15 to 20. Former WCW President Eric Bischoff discussed the incident on his 83 Weeks podcast, clarifying that he wasn't an agent and had no involvement in what happened. He went on to say that he didn't think Hulk Hogan was the type of person to take liberties like that, but he also said that when he was watching it, his assumption was, and just knowing Hulk the way he does, that's something he would have discussed with Ric. Eric claimed that Hulk was never the type of person who would take liberties like that, especially with someone like David. At least that was his impression at that point, but he never really followed up with Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair about the situation. According to several accounts, Hulk Hogan went overboard during the incident, whether it was because he got caught up in the moment, was acting on his own, wanted to teach David a lesson in humility, or had other reasons. Regardless of his motivation, Hogan was only supposed to whip David a few times. Instead, he lashed him well over 10 times, creating a memorable real-life story from David's career. This incident generated real tension and animosity between two of wrestling's biggest legends, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. Psycho Sid attacks Jose Lothario's son. He stood by Shawn Michaels' side on television as Michaels prepared for his first WWE Championship win. In early 1997, as the excitement built towards the Royal Rumble in San Antonio, Shawn Michaels took on the role of guest commentator for the main event of Raw, which featured a showdown between Bret Hart and Vader. As the show neared its conclusion, Michaels had to abruptly leave the commentator's table and rush backstage. It was there that his rival and the reigning WWE champion at the time, Psycho Sid, unexpectedly powerbombed Lothario's son. Jose Lothario wasn't an active wrestler in WWE by the late 1990s, but he still played a significant role in one of the main storylines of that era. For those who might not be familiar, Jose Lothario was a seasoned Mexican wrestler, known for his skills and charisma in the ring. He became widely recognized for training a young Shawn Michaels in the 1980s, helping to shape Michaels into one of the greatest performers in wrestling history. In the late 1990s, Jose Lothario returned to WWE, not as a competitor, but as a mentor and manager for Shawn Michaels. This was during a pivotal time in Michaels' career, particularly around the mid-90s when he was involved in high-profile matches and storylines. Lothario's presence added an emotional and personal touch to Michaels' character, highlighting the deep bond between trainer and student. One of the most notable moments involving Lothario was during Shawn Michaels' quest for the WWE Championship. He was in Michaels' corner for some of the biggest matches, providing moral support and guidance. His involvement helped to amplify the drama and stakes of these matches, making them even more compelling for the audience. Lothario's influence extended beyond just being at ringside. His history and connection with Michaels were frequently highlighted in WWE programming, adding layers to the storytelling and giving fans a deeper understanding of Michaels' background and the people who helped him rise to stardom. This connection was particularly emphasized during Michaels' iconic Iron Man match against Bret Hart at WrestleMania Torjón, where Lothario's presence was a significant emotional factor in the build-up and execution of the match. Even though Lothario wasn't competing in the ring during this time, his legacy as a wrestler and mentor was celebrated and respected. His appearances served as a bridge between the older and newer generations of wrestling fans, showcasing the importance of mentorship and the lasting impact of past wrestlers on the current stars. This storyline not only honored Lothario's contributions to wrestling, but also enriched Shawn Michaels' journey, making it one of the most memorable chapters in WWE history. Randy Orton's versus Triple H's family. Triple H and Randy Orton are two of the biggest names in WWE history, each with an impressive legacy and a long-standing rivalry. Triple H made his mark during the Attitude Era, quickly rising through the ranks to become a formidable force in the wrestling world. Known as The Game, he built a reputation as a dominant and ruthless competitor, taking on and defeating many of the top stars of his time. Randy Orton, on the other hand, comes from a prestigious wrestling family. His grandfather, Bob Orton Sr., and his father, Cowboy Bob Orton, are both WWE Hall of Famers. partners. With such a strong wrestling lineage, expectations were high when Randy entered the WWE in 2002. Dubbed the Viper, Orton sought to not only live up to his family's name, but also to create his own legacy in the modern era of professional wrestling. From the moment Orton stepped into the ring, he showed immense talent and a fierce determination to succeed. He quickly became one of WWE's top superstars, known for his cunning and relentless style. The clash between Triple H and Orton became inevitable, as both sought to prove their dominance. Their encounters in the ring were always intense, filled with personal vendettas and high stakes. Triple H's experience and brutal approach contrasted with Orton's youthful vigor and calculated aggression, making their matches must-see events. Over the years, their rivalry became one of the most storied and celebrated in WWE history, with each match adding to their legendary status. In the early 2000s, Triple H and Ric Flair formed Evolution, a faction designed to represent the past, present, and future of wrestling. Randy Orton was brought in as the young blue-chip prospect, envisioned as the future of WWE. However, when Orton became the youngest world heavyweight champion in 2004, Triple H turned on him and banished him from the group. This marked the beginning of a deep-seated animosity between the two. As both superstars achieved greater heights in their careers, their paths inevitably crossed again, culminating in a highly intense rivalry in 2009. This feud also involved Triple H's family and Orton's allies from his faction, Legacy, which included Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. The animosity reached such a fever pitch, Triple H once broke into Orton's home to deliver a brutal beatdown. One of the most intense rivalries in WWE history, the Triple H and Randy Orton feud of 2009, revolved around the WWE Championship. The build-up to their WrestleMania match featured some of the most personal and thrilling moments fans had seen in years. Orton, at his most deranged and vicious, initiated the feud by punting Triple H's father-in-law, Vince McMahon, in the skull. This attack brought Stephanie and Shane McMahon, Vince's children, into the conflict, but Orton dispatched them both. Triple H did not intervene until Orton attacked his wife, Stephanie McMahon, with a devastating RKO. As the feud escalated, Orton revealed that his actions were all part of a calculated plan to seek revenge on Triple H for betraying him and expelling him from Evolution years earlier. This storyline, rich with history and old grudges, felt monumental as references to past events were rare in WWE at the time. The final straw came when Orton planted Stephanie McMahon with a DDT while Triple H was handcuffed to the ropes. To add further insult, Orton kissed the unconscious Stephanie right in front of her helpless husband, driving Triple H to his breaking point. This act of utter disrespect and cruelty led Triple H, a 14-time world champion, to resort to extreme measures to punish the legend killer. The feud's intensity captivated the WWE universe, making it one of the most memorable rivalries in recent wrestling history. Triple H is beat down. After Randy Orton's outrageous actions, Triple H felt he had no choice but to go to extreme lengths to punish him. Determined to get revenge for everything Orton had done to his family, Triple H devised a plan that no one saw coming. During the March 9th edition of Monday Night Raw, Randy Orton and his then-wife Samantha were in the middle of an interview. Orton was confidently declaring his intention to destroy Triple H at WrestleMania. Suddenly, a loud noise interrupted the interview. Orton ran to investigate the disturbance and found the door being battered by an object. When the door finally gave way, there stood Triple H with his trusted sledgehammer. Samantha screamed as the chaos unfolded. Orton was stunned, unable to believe that Triple H had invaded his home. As the game charged forward, Orton bolted towards the kitchen, trying to escape. Triple H pursued him, encountering several of Orton's family members along the way, all while Orton hid in fear of the man wielding the sledgehammer. As Triple H searched the house, Randy Orton finally tried to catch him off guard with a sneak attack. The two men began trading punches right there in Orton's living room. It was an all-out brawl, with furniture getting knocked over and chaos erupting. However, Triple H soon gained the upper hand, delivering powerful blows that forced Orton back. In a moment that has since become one of the most iconic in WWE history, Triple H grabbed Orton and threw him right through a window. Glass shattered as Orton crashed outside, and the fight spilled onto the front lawn. The intensity didn't let up as the two continued their battle, with fists flying and neither man willing to back down. The scene was pure mayhem until the local police arrived. They quickly intervened, pulling the men apart and arresting Triple H for home invasion. The dramatic confrontation left a lasting impression on fans, highlighting the extreme lengths their feud had reached and cementing it as one of the most memorable moments in WWE history. 25, where Triple H emerged victorious in an instant classic match. However, the animosity between them didn't end there. The feud continued to escalate, with both men seeking to assert their dominance in WWE. The rivalry finally culminated at WWE Backlash in a high-stakes six-man tag team match. Randy Orton teamed up with his legacy allies Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr., while Triple H was joined by Shane McMahon and Batista. The match was a fierce and chaotic battle, with both teams giving it their all. In the end, it was Randy Orton who managed to dethrone Triple H for the WWE Championship. The victory marked an important moment in Orton's career, as he finally overcame his longtime rival and solidified his status as a top contender in WWE. The conclusion of their feud at Backlash brought an end to one of the most heated and personal rivalries in WWE history. Paul Bearer's kidnap. In the spring of 2004, Paul Bearer was kidnapped by the Dudley Boys under the direction of Paul Heyman. This dramatic storyline twist was actually a clever way to write Bearer out of WWE storylines for a while. The real reason behind it was that Bearer needed to undergo emergency gallbladder surgery after suddenly developing gallstones, which is a common side effect of gastric bypass surgery. By being a victim of this kidnapping, WWE provided a storyline explanation for Bearer's temporary absence, allowing him to take care of his health without disrupting the ongoing narrative too much. For the June 27, 2004 pay-per-view event, The Great American Bash, WWE set up a dramatic match featuring The Undertaker against the Dudley Boys. During the match, Paul Bearer was trapped in a glass crypt at ringside, with cement slowly filling up around him, covering him up to his chest. Paul Heyman, who was masterminding the whole thing, demanded that The Undertaker lose the match, or Bearer would be completely buried in cement. Despite the threat, The Undertaker won the match. However, in a shocking twist, he pulled the lever that released more cement into the crypt, completely burying Paul Bearer and seemingly suffocating him. This jaw-dropping moment left the audience in disbelief. On the following week's episode of SmackDown, it was revealed that Paul Bearer was still alive but gravely injured for storyline purposes. Interestingly, during the rehearsal taping earlier on the day of the Great American Bash, The Undertaker ad-libbed, and only half of the stunt was completed in an empty arena. This rehearsal footage was accidentally broadcast live in many television markets, giving fans an unexpected behind-the-scenes look at the dramatic event. With 2 years remaining on his contract, Paul Bearer continued to work for WWE as a booker until the company decided to terminate his contract on April 11, 2005. However, on June 10, 2005, Bearer announced that he had signed a new deal with WWE. This agreement allowed WWE to market his character and required him to attend autograph sessions, make promotional appearances, and occasionally participate in television and house shows. In late January 2007, at a SmackDown ECW house show in Mobile, Alabama, Bearer made a notable appearance alongside the Brothers of Destruction, The Undertaker, and Kane. He stood at ringside carrying the original urn, which added a nostalgic touch for longtime fans and highlighted his ongoing association with the iconic duo. This appearance was a special moment for fans. Brock Lesnar destroyed Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic. In 2019, on a Sunday night at Survivor Series, Brock Lesnar defeated Rey Mysterio, showcasing his dominance and retaining the WWE Championship. Despite the combined efforts of Mysterio and his son Dominic, they couldn't overcome the Beast incarnate, though they came close to pulling off an unexpected victory. During the match, Mysterio attacked Lesnar with a lead pipe, and Dominic delivered a chair shot. Together, they hit Lesnar with a double 619 and a frog splash. However, Lesnar still managed to kick out, signaling the beginning of the end for Mysterio. Lesnar then executed an F5, which was enough to pin the veteran wrestler and secure the win. The rivalry between Lesnar and Mysterio has been intense since the September 30th episode of Raw, where Lesnar brutally attacked both Mysterio and Dominic, setting the stage for their dramatic showdown at Survivor Series. 4 days later, Brock Lesnar defeated Kofi Kingston in seconds to win the WWE title. However, during his victory celebration, Rey Mysterio showed up with former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez by his side. Velasquez immediately went after Lesnar, setting the stage for a WWE title match between the two. This match was a rematch of their UFC bout, where Velasquez had previously defeated Lesnar for the UFC heavyweight title. However, things went differently at Crown Jewel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where Lesnar beat Velasquez in just a couple of minutes. After the match, Lesnar tried to punish Velasquez further, but Mysterio intervened with a steel chair, eventually forcing the WWE champion out of the ring. Lesnar and his advocate Paul Heyman were furious about Mysterio's interference. As a result, they decided to leave SmackDown and move to Raw, determined to get revenge on Mysterio, known as the Master of the 619. While searching for Mysterio, Lesnar wreaked havoc backstage, attacking WWE personnel and even slamming Raw announcer Dio Madden with an F5 through the announce table. This chaotic pursuit allowed Mysterio to gain the upper hand on his rival. Mysterio attacked Lesnar from behind with a lead pipe, proving that despite their size difference, he could hold his own against the Beast. This unexpected assault led to the official announcement of their match at Survivor Series. This was the first time Lesnar and Mysterio had faced each other since an episode of SmackDown in December 2003. Lesnar entered Sunday's match as a heavy favorite for several reasons. He had only won the WWE Championship on October 4th, and his reputation as a dominant part-time superstar made it seem unlikely that Mysterio could defeat him. However, there was still some hope among fans that Mysterio might pull off a shocking upset. Despite Mysterio's valiant effort, Lesnar left Survivor Series as the WWE Champion, having successfully defended his title against both Mysterio and Cain Velasquez at the past two pay-per-views. It might be time for Lesnar to move on to a new challenge. Undertaker's forced marriage proposal. While this might not be a direct attack, it's definitely worthy of this list. And trust me, you'd be surprised. During his time leading the Ministry of Darkness in 1999, The Undertaker was notorious for committing several shocking and vile acts. One of the most memorable moments was when he kidnapped Vince McMahon's innocent daughter, Stephanie McMahon, in her first major on-screen storyline. The Undertaker forced Stephanie to take part in a dark and eerie wedding ceremony, planning to marry her against her will. Just when things seemed hopeless, Vince McMahon's biggest rival, Stone Cold Steve Austin, stormed in and saved Stephanie, creating one of the most dramatic rescues in WWE history. During the beloved Attitude Era in 1999, The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness did something truly shocking on Raw. They carried Vince McMahon's daughter Stephanie to the ring while she was tied to a crucifix. The devious plan was to force her into a wedding against her will. This moment became one of the most infamous and memorable events of that era, clearly proving The Undertaker's dark and menacing character. The Undertaker was creepily rubbing his hand on Stephanie's face as she screamed, "No!" in terror, while Paul Bearer conducted the unsettling wedding ceremony. Just in time, Stone Cold Steve Austin burst onto the scene, swinging a steel chair and taking down members of the Ministry of Darkness. He fought his way through the group and finally untied Stephanie, rescuing her from the horrifying situation. During an Instagram live story with 9 Line Apparel, Mark Calloway, better known as The Undertaker, shared that the storyline involving Stephanie McMahon was the most bizarre in his 30-year WWE career. He reflected on his extensive time in WWE, highlighting that this particular plot stood out due to its unusual and shocking nature. Later on, it was revealed that Vince McMahon himself was the higher power, orchestrating everything. But the kidnapping and near-forced marriage of Stephanie McMahon was on another level of crazy for the WWE audience. While the dark wedding ceremony was an iconic moment on its own, perhaps the most memorable and quoted part of the entire feud was when The Undertaker disguised himself as Stephanie's limo driver. He creepily asked, "Where to, Stephanie?" causing the billion-dollar princess to let out a blood-curdling scream. Since that strange storyline, Stephanie McMahon has taken on an authoritative role on WWE television. She is now the company's chief brand officer and is married to Triple H. Enjoyed the video? Crave more excitement? Stay tuned by clicking on any of the cards on your screen right now for more thrilling content. See you next time.